In the ancient, mist-covered village of Grendale, where the fog rolls down from the mountains like the breath of forgotten gods, there stands a fortress of stone and shadow. It rises above the humble dwellings below, a monument to strength and survival, its towers piercing the gray sky like the claws of some great beast reaching toward the heavens. And atop this fortress, on the highest balcony where the wind howls with the voices of ancestors long departed, stands Alpha Kaelen Blackwood, the stoic and revered leader of the Midnight Wolf Pack. He is a figure carved from granite and grief, his broad shoulders bearing the weight of centuries of tradition, his dark eyes holding storms that have never quite passed. The wind whips through his midnight black hair, and his hands grip the cold stone balustrade with a force that could crush lesser materials to dust. Below him, the village sprawls in peaceful ignorance, smoke curling from chimneys, children's laughter carried on the breeze like the tinkling of distant bells. But Kaelen hears none of it. His mind is elsewhere, lost in the labyrinth of memory and pain that has become his constant companion. For years, so many years that he has lost count, Kaelen has carried a wound that no healer can touch, no medicine can cure. It is a wound of the soul, a gaping chasm where once there had been light and warmth and love beyond measure. His mate, Seraphine, was taken from him in a fire that consumed not just flesh and bone, but hope itself. The night sky had turned crimson with flames and the screams. Oh, the screams still echo in the darkest corners of his mind, haunting him in the quiet moments before dawn when the world is suspended between dreams and waking. He touches his chest absently, feeling through the fabric of his shirt the raised scar tissue beneath, a crescent moon, pale against his bronze skin, a mark that appeared the moment their bond was forged. It is the physical manifestation of a connection that transcends the mortal plane, a symbol recognized by all who understand the ancient ways. Every wolf knows that such a mark appears only once in a lifetime, only with a true mate, and that it can never be replicated or forged. It is as unique as a fingerprint, as permanent as the stars that will overhead in their eternal dance. But what good is permanence when the other half of your soul has been reduced to ash and memory? Kaelen's trusted counsel has been relentless in their pressure. Their voice is a constant drone in his ears like the buzzing of persistent insects. You must take a new mate, Alpha, they say. The pack needs stability. The pack needs heirs. The pack needs. Their words blur together, becoming meaningless noise. How can they not understand? How can they look at him with their pitying eyes and expect him to simply move on, to choose another as if Seraphine were nothing more than a favorite cloak that had worn thin and needed replacing? The very thought is a betrayal that makes his wolf snarl and pace within the confines of his mind. His wolf, that primal part of himself that is more than human, less than human, other than human, it has been restless and angry since that terrible night. It howls for its mate. It searches in every scent and shadow. It refuses to accept what logic and evidence proclaim as truth. And in the deepest part of himself, in that place where instinct dwells beyond the reach of reason, Kaelen knows his wolf is right to resist. There is something wrong, something incomplete about the narrative of Seraphine's death. But what can he do? He saw the flames. He smelled the burning. He found the remnants of her clothing among the charred ruins. And yet, the village fair below erupts in a fresh wave of laughter and music, the sounds of celebration cutting through his dark reverie like shafts of sunlight through storm clouds. It is the Harvest Festival, an annual tradition older than memory, when the people of Grendale gather to give thanks for the bounty of the land and to strengthen the bonds of community. Colorful banners flutter in the breeze, merchant stalls overflow with goods and treats, and children race between the legs of adults like small, joyful whirlwinds of energy and innocence. Kaelen watches it all with the detachment of a ghost observing the living. He should be down there, walking among his people, accepting their respect and their tributes, reinforcing his presence as their protector and leader. But the thought of plastering on a false smile, of pretending that everything is as it should be, fills him with a weariness that goes bone deep. Let them have their joy. Let them have their light. He will remain here in the shadows where he belongs, where the darkness of his grief cannot contaminate their happiness. But duty is a harsh mistress, and she will not be ignored indefinitely. As the sun begins its descent toward the horizon, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose, Kaelen forces himself to descend from his solitary perch. He moves through the fortress with the silent grace of a predator, each step measured and precise, his presence causing servants and guards alike to straighten and bow. They know their Alpha. They know the pain he carries, and they give him the respect of their silence. The village square is a riot of color and sound when he emerges from the shadowed pathways of the fortress. Torches have been lit against the gathering dusk, their flames dancing and flickering like captive sprites. The air is thick with the mingled scents of roasting meat, sweet pastries, and the earthier aromas of the harvest, apples and grain, and the rich loam of turned soil. Music weaves through it all, the fiddle and drum creating rhythms that make the heart want to beat faster, the feet want to move. Kaelen walks among his people, and they part before him like water before the prow of a great ship. Their faces show respect, reverence even. But there is something else too, a sadness, a recognition of the tragedy that has shaped their leader into the remote, untouchable figure he has become. They whisper prayers for him when they think he cannot hear. They light candles in the old temple for his healing. They wish with all their hearts that he could find peace. But they do not approach him with casual familiarity. They do not burden him with their small talk and pleasantries. They give him space, always space, as if he were a wild thing that might bolt or bite if pressed too closely. And then, like a crack of lightning from a clear sky, everything changes. A small hand tugs at his cloak. Kaelen stops, looking down in surprise to find a child staring up at him with eyes as blue and clear as a summer sky. She cannot be more than 5 years old, this little slip of a girl with tangled dark hair and a dress that has seen better days. There is flour on her cheek and what appears to be berry juice staining her small fingers. But it is her smile that arrests him, a smile of such pure, uncomplicated joy that it seems to belong to a different world entirely, a world untouched by loss and grief and the terrible complexities of adult life. "Hi, sir," she chirps, her voice high and sweet as a bird's song. She does not seem to notice or care about the way the crowd around them has gone silent, the way every eye has turned to witness this unprecedented breach of protocol. "My mother has a mark like yours." The words hit Kaelen like a physical blow. For a moment, he cannot breathe, cannot think, cannot do anything but stare down at this child who has just spoken the impossible. His hand moves of its own accord to his throat, to the place where the crescent scar is visible above the collar of his shirt. It is a mirror image of the one on his chest, though smaller, a twin mark that appeared simultaneously with the larger one when he and Seraphine completed their bonding ritual beneath the full moon all those years ago. What did you say?" His voice comes out rougher than he intends, like gravel grinding against stone. The child tilts her head, still smiling, completely unafraid. She points one small, sticky finger at his throat. "That mark. The moon. My mama has one too, right here." She touches her own collarbone, in the exact mirror position of his mark. "Are you friends? Did you get matching marks on purpose?" Mama said hers was special, that it meant something important, but she gets sad when I ask about it, so I stopped asking. But now I found someone else with the same mark. Can you tell me what it means? The world seems to tilt beneath Kaelen's feet. The sounds of the fair fade to a distant buzzing, the faces around him blur into meaningless shapes, and all he can focus on is this child, this impossible, wonderful, terrible child who has just shattered the foundation of everything he thought he knew. His heart pounds in his chest like a war drum, and his wolf surges forward with such force that he has to grip his control with iron discipline to keep from shifting right there in the middle of the village square. A mark like his. The exact mark. In the exact place. On a woman here in Grendale, a woman who has a daughter, a woman who gets sad when asked about it. It's not possible. It cannot be possible. The bond mark is unique, unrepeatable, sacred. Only true mates bear matching marks, and those marks appear only once, only for each other. There can be no mistake, no coincidence, no random similarity that could fool the ancient magic that creates them. If this child's mother truly bears a mark identical to his, then there is only one explanation, one answer that defies death itself. Seraphine is alive. Your mother. Kaelen manages to force the words past the constriction in his throat, past the wild hope and terrible fear that are battling for dominance in his chest. Where is your mother? What is her name? The child, he realizes he doesn't even know her name, scrunches up her face in thought. Mama is working. She's always working. She helps people who are sick or hurt. People call her Serena. She brightens. That's my mama. Serena. Do you know her? Are you the reason she has the moon mark? Will you come meet her? She'll be so happy. She's always so sad, but maybe seeing you will make her smile. Serena. Not Seraphine. But names can be changed, identities can be hidden, and if his mate somehow survived that fire, if she had reason to hide, to disappear, to take on a new name and new life, would she not choose something close to her true name? Something that would feel familiar on her tongue even as it served as a disguise? Kaelen's mind races through possibilities like a wolf through the forest, leaping over obstacles of logic and reason, pursuing the scent of hope with single-minded determination. Could it be? Could she truly be alive, living here in this very village, walking among these people while he mourned her death? Why would she hide? Why would she not come to him, reveal herself, return to his side? Unless she had been forced into secrecy. Unless she had been threatened. Unless she believed herself to be protecting something, or someone, by remaining hidden. He looks at the child again, really looks at her this time, and his breath catches. The shape of her face, the curve of her cheek, the way her hair falls in dark waves even when tangled with play and mischief. There is something achingly familiar about her features. Something that tugs at his memory and his heart with equal force. How old did she say she was? 5? Perhaps a bit younger? The timeline would fit. If Seraphine had been pregnant when the fire happened, if she had somehow escaped and hidden herself away, if she had given birth in secret, this child could be his daughter. The thought explodes in his mind like a supernova, illuminating corners of possibility he had not dared to explore. A daughter. His and Seraphine's daughter. A child born of their love, of their bond, living and breathing and tugging on his cloak with berry-stained fingers and asking innocent questions that have the power to reshape his entire world. Tell me, Kaelen says, dropping to one knee so that he is at eye level with the little girl, so that she can see the intensity in his gaze and know that this is important, more important than anything else in the world right now. Tell me everything about your mother. Where does she live? Where does she work? What does she look like? The child, Lila, she tells him her name is Lila, chatters on with the unself-conscious enthusiasm of the very young. She describes her mother's healing work, the little cottage on the edge of the village where they live, the garden full of herbs and flowers that her mother tends with gentle hands. She talks about how her mother sings to her at night, how she tells stories of brave wolves and wise ravens, how she sometimes cries when she thinks Lila is asleep, how she touches the mark on her chest and whispers words that Lila cannot quite hear. Every word is a piece of a puzzle clicking into place. Every detail is another confirmation of what Kaelen's heart already knows, but his mind struggles to accept. This is not coincidence. This is not chance. This is fate, destiny, the universe's way of correcting a terrible wrong and restoring what was stolen. But it is also rage. Rage builds in Kaelen's chest like a gathering storm as the implications sink in. If Seraphine is alive, if she has been here all along, then someone made him believe she was dead. Someone orchestrated that fire, staged that tragedy, and condemned him to years of grief and anguish. Someone looked him in the eye and lied, day after day, while his mate lived in hiding just a stone's throw away from his fortress. Someone betrayed him in the most fundamental way possible, striking not at his body, but at his very soul. The crowd around them has been watching this exchange with growing confusion and concern. They see their Alpha, their proud and distant leader, kneeling in the dirt before a common child, his face showing more emotion than they have witnessed in years. They whisper among themselves, wondering what has happened, what this strange interaction could mean. But Kaelen pays them no mind. His entire focus has narrowed to a single point, a single purpose. He must find Serena. He must see with his own eyes if this is truly his Seraphine. And if it is, when it is, for his wolf has no doubt now, then he will uncover every detail of the conspiracy that took her from him, and he will make those responsible pay in blood and suffering. "Lila," he says, his voice gentler now, though it still carries the weight of barely controlled emotion. "Can you take me to your mother? Right now." The little girl nods eagerly, thrilled at the prospect of bringing this interesting stranger home to meet her mama. She takes Kaelen's much larger hand in her small one, her fingers sticky and warm, and begins to tug him through the crowd. People scramble to clear a path, their faces showing shock and curiosity in equal measure. The Alpha, being led by a child through the harvest fair like a tamed bear on a string, it is unprecedented, inexplicable, a story that will be told and retold until it becomes legend. But Kaelen cares nothing for their stares or their gossip. He allows himself to be pulled along, his long strides shortened to match Lila's excited scampering, his heart pounding harder with each step. They leave the bright lights and music of the fair behind, moving through quieter streets where the sounds of celebration become muted and distant. The buildings here are older, more weathered, the homes of those who work with their hands and live simple lives of honest labor. Lila leads him to a cottage that sits slightly apart from the others, surrounded by a garden that even in the fading light shows signs of careful tending. Herbs and medicinal plants grow in organized beds, their leaves rustling softly in the evening breeze. A small wooden sign hangs beside the door, painted with symbols of healing: the mortar and pestle, the caduceus, the ancient runes of health and wholeness. This is the home of a healer, someone the village trusts with their pains and ailments, someone who has earned respect through skill and compassion. The door is slightly ajar, warm light spilling from within, and Kaelen can hear movement inside, the soft footfalls of someone moving about their tasks, the gentle clink of glass bottles, the sound of humming. That humming. His breath catches again because he knows that melody, that particular tune that Seraphine used to hum while she worked, an old song passed down through her family line, a song she said came from the ancient times when wolves and humans first learned to walk together. Lila pushes the door open wider and calls out in her bright, carrying voice, "Mama, Mama, I brought a friend. He has the moon mark like you." The humming stops abruptly. There is a moment of frozen silence, a held breath in which the entire world seems to pause. And then a woman appears in the doorway to the inner room, stepping into the light, and Kaelen's world stops spinning. It's her. She is older, of course. Years have passed, years that have left their mark in the fine lines around her eyes and the subtle changes in the set of her shoulders. Her hair, that glorious cascade of auburn waves, is pulled back in a practical braid rather than flowing loose, as she once wore it. Her clothing is simple, the rough homespun of a village healer rather than the fine garments of a Luna. Her hands show the signs of hard work, and there is a weariness in her posture that speaks of long days and longer nights. But it is Seraphine. His Seraphine. Alive. Real. Standing not 20 feet away from him with her mouth open in shock and her eyes. Those green eyes he has seen in dreams and memories for so many years, wide with a mixture of terror and something else, something that might be longing or might be love or might be both tangled together until they cannot be separated. She is staring at him as if seeing a ghost, as if he is the one who has returned from the dead rather than her. Her hand rises slowly to her throat, to the place where her mark rests beneath the fabric of her dress, and he sees her fingers tremble. Her lips form his name, though no sound emerges. Kaelen. Just that, just his name shaped by her mouth, and the sight of it breaks something inside him that has been holding him together all these years. "Seraphine," he says, and his voice cracks on the word, decades of authority and control shattering like glass. "Seraphine, is it really you?" She takes a step backward, shaking her head, and when she finally speaks, Her voice is hoarse with emotion and disuse, as if she has not spoken his name aloud in all this time. You can't be here. You can't. Kaelen, you have to go. You have to leave. It's not safe. If they know you found me, if they realize, if who knows. Kaelen advances into the cottage, and his wolf is surging so close to the surface that he can feel his eyes beginning to glow with their inner light, feel his canines elongating. Who is they, Seraphine? Who made me believe you were dead? Who has kept you hidden away like a shameful secret while I mourned you, while our pack grieved their Luna, while he stops, his control fraying at the edges. Who took you from me? Lila looks between them with confusion written across her young face. Mama? Why are you scared? It's okay. He's nice. He wanted to meet you because of the matching marks. Seraphine's eyes fill with tears that catch the lamplight and turn to liquid gold. She looks at her daughter. Their daughter, Kaelen's mind supplies with absolute certainty, and her expression is one of such conflicted love and anguish that it tears at his heart. Lila, sweetling, go to your room, please. The adults need to talk. But Mama? Now, Lila. Please. The little girl, sensing the seriousness of her mother's tone despite not understanding its source, nods reluctantly and disappears into the back of the cottage. The moment she is gone, Seraphine's composure crumbles. She staggers backward until she hits the wall, one hand pressed to her chest where her mark burns beneath the fabric, the other covering her mouth, as if to hold back sobs. Kaelen crosses the remaining distance between them in 3 long strides. He stands before her, so close that he can smell the familiar scent of her, lavender and sage, and something uniquely her own, a scent he thought he would never breathe again. His hands rise to frame her face, thumbs brushing away the tears that have begun to spill down her cheeks. How, he asks, and it is both question and plea. How are you alive? I saw the fire. I searched the ruins. I found your things, your clothes, evidence of your presence. How did you survive? And why, his voice breaks. Why did you not come back to me? Seraphina closes her eyes, leaning into his touch as if she cannot help herself, as if his proximity after so long is both agony and ecstasy. When she opens them again, they are filled with a pain that rivals his own. The fire was meant to kill me, Kaelen. It was a trap, carefully laid, and I barely escaped with my life. I was pregnant. She sees the flash of recognition in his eyes and nods. Yes, with Lila. Our daughter. I didn't even know myself at the time, not until weeks later when I was hiding in the deep forest, recovering from my burns and trying to understand what had happened. I was betrayed by someone close to us, someone who wanted me dead and wanted you broken. Who? Kaelen's voice is a growl now, his wolf demanding blood and vengeance. Give me a name. But Seraphine shakes her head. If I tell you, if you confront them now, they will know I survived. They will come for me, Kaelen. Worse, they will come for Lila. I've spent 5 years hiding in plain sight, living as a simple healer, keeping my wolf locked down so deep that sometimes I fear I've forgotten how to shift. I've watched you from afar, seen you standing on your balcony looking so alone, so lost, and it has taken every ounce of strength I possess not to run to you, not to reveal myself. But I had to protect our daughter. I had to keep her safe from those who would use her as a weapon against us. The pieces are falling into place now, each revelation adding to the picture of betrayal and conspiracy. Someone within his inner circle, someone with access and opportunity, someone who understood the depths of his bond with Seraphine and knew that her death would be the perfect weapon to control him, to weaken him, to perhaps position themselves for a grab at power. Kaelen's mind runs through the list of his closest advisors, his most trusted warriors. The members of his council who have guided him through the dark years since the fire. Who among them has seemed too eager to push him toward taking a new mate? Who has benefited most from his grief and isolation? Who has gradually been accumulating power and influence while he wallowed in sorrow? And then it hits him with the force of a revelation. Lord Ashford, his oldest advisor, the man who was his father's beta, the man who has served the Blackwood family for generations. Ashford, who was first on the scene after the fire, who brought him the evidence of Seraphine's death, who held him back when he tried to rush into the flames. Ashford, who has spent the past 5 years slowly, subtly consolidating his position, making himself indispensable, positioning his own son as a potential heir should Kaelen die, without children. Ashford, who has been the most insistent voice calling for Kaelen to take a new mate, preferably from one of the families aligned with his own interests. Ashford. Kaelen breathes, and he sees the truth confirmed in Seraphine's flinch. It was Lord Ashford. He wanted to control the pack through you, Seraphine says quietly. He believed that with me gone, you would be malleable, broken, easier to manipulate. He planned to position his son as your heir, to gradually take over the reins of power until you were little more than a figurehead. I heard him talking to his co-conspirators that night. I only escaped because one of the young wolves who was supposed to guard the perimeter couldn't go through with it. He created a distraction that allowed me to slip away, though not before the flames caught my clothes and burned. She touches her side, and Kaelen can see the way she moves carefully, protecting old injuries. I carry scars too, Kaelen, not just on my skin. Rage fills Kaelen, a fury so profound that his entire body shakes with it. His wolf is howling for Ashford's blood, demanding immediate and brutal vengeance. To betray an alpha is the gravest crime in pack law. To harm or attempt to harm an alpha's mate is a sin punishable by the most painful death imaginable. But to do both, to orchestrate such an elaborate deception, to cause years of suffering for both Alpha and Luna while positioning oneself to steal power, that is treachery of a magnitude that transcends normal categories of crime. He will die, Kaelen says, and his voice has gone flat and cold with the absolute certainty of it. Not quickly, not easily. He will know the full extent of my wrath, and when I am done with him, his name will be spoken as a curse for generations. No. Seraphine grips his arms, her fingers digging in with surprising strength. No, Kaelen, you cannot simply kill him. You need proof. You need to expose him properly before the Council and the Pack. If you just execute him without evidence, his allies will cry foul, will claim you've gone mad with grief, will use it as an excuse to challenge your authority.
You must be smart about this.
Strategic. She is right, of course. Even in his rage, Kaelen can see the wisdom in her words. Ashford has spent 5 years building his position, creating a network of allies and dependents. A simple execution would create a power vacuum and potentially civil war. No, this must be done correctly, with all the weight of law and tradition behind it. Ashford must be exposed completely, his crimes laid bare for all to see, his punishment carried out with the full approval of the Pack. But that will take time. Time spent gathering evidence, time spent maneuvering and planning, time spent pretending that nothing has changed when everything has changed. And every moment that Seraphine and Lila remain hidden feels like a knife to his heart. Come back with me, Kaelen says, pulling her close, wrapping his arms around her with a desperation that 5 years of loss has created. Come back to the fortress, you and Lila. I'll assign my most trusted warriors to guard you. You'll be safe there, safer than here where anyone could. No, Seraphine interrupts gently. If I suddenly appear at the fortress, Ashford will know that I'm alive. He'll realize that his conspiracy is at risk of being exposed, and desperate men do desperate things. He might try to flee, or worse, he might try to attack before you're ready to defend against him properly. We have to be patient, my love. We have to be clever. Kaelen rests his forehead against hers, breathing in her scent, feeling the bond between them flaring back to life, like a fire that has been banked but never truly extinguished. His mark burns where it rests against his skin, and he can sense hers responding in kind. The connection between them, stretched but never broken, pulses with recognition and joy and the fierce love that not even death could diminish. I cannot lose you again, he whispers. I cannot go back to that fortress and pretend that you don't exist, that I haven't found you. I cannot. You won't, she assures him, her hands cupping his face now, her eyes searching his. This time, we know what we're facing. This time, we have a plan. This time, I'm not a naive girl who trusted too easily and let her guard down. We will expose Ashford, we will reclaim our place together, and we will protect our daughter. But we must do this right. The door to the back room creaks open slightly, and Lila peeks out, her young face curious and uncertain. Mama? Is everything okay? Are you and the man with the mark going to be friends? Seraphine smiles through her tears, a genuine smile that Kaelen hasn't seen in so long he'd almost forgotten how it transforms her entire face. Yes, sweetling. We are going to be much more than friends. Come here. There's someone I want you to meet properly. Lila emerges fully, approaching cautiously now that she senses the emotional weight in the room. Seraphine takes her hand and draws her close, then looks up at Kaelen with a mixture of pride and apprehension. Lila, this is Kaelen Blackwood. He is your father. The child's eyes go wide as coins. She looks from her mother to Kaelen and back again, her young mind processing this monumental information. My father? Really? Like in the stories where fathers are strong and brave and protect their families. Kaelen drops to one knee again, bringing himself to her eye level. His throat is tight with emotion, his eyes burning with tears he refuses to let fall in front of this brave little girl who has been growing up without him, who has been part of his life without him even knowing it. Yes, Lila, I am your father, and I am so very sorry that I haven't been here for you. But I promise you, on my life and on everything I hold sacred, that I will spend the rest of my days making up for lost time. I will protect you and your mother with everything I have. Lila studies him with the serious consideration of the very young, then nods as if satisfied with what she sees. Okay, can you teach me to be strong like you? Mama says I have wolf blood, but I haven't shifted yet. She says it will happen when I'm older, when my body is ready. I will teach you everything, Kaelen promises, his heart swelling with a fierce love he didn't know was possible. This is his daughter. His and Seraphine's daughter. Living proof of their bond, of their love, of something beautiful and good that survived even the worst betrayal. But for now, you must be brave in a different way. You must keep our secret. No one can know that I've found you and your mother.
Can you do that?
Lila's expression becomes solemn, understanding somehow that this is important, that adult.
Things are at stake.
She nods seriously. I can keep secrets. I'm very good at it. Mama says I'm the best secret keeper she knows. Good girl, Seraphine says, smoothing her daughter's tangled hair. Now, why don't you go and get ready for bed? It's been a long day, and you need your rest. After Lila reluctantly retreats to her room once more, Kaelen and Seraphine spend the next hours in whispered conversation, piecing together the full story of what happened that terrible night. She tells him about overhearing Ashford's plans, about the co-conspirators who helped him, some of whom still walk the halls of the fortress, sitting on the council, pretending loyalty while serving their own interests. She tells him about her escape, about the young wolf named Marcus who helped her and then disappeared before she could thank him properly. She tells him about the months of hiding in the deep forest, about giving birth alone in a cave with only her wolf instincts to guide her, about the terror of those early days when she was convinced that Ashford's hunters would find her. And she tells him about the decision to hide in plain sight, to return to Grendale under a new name, using her healing skills to establish herself as a valuable member of the community while keeping her true nature suppressed. It has been a lonely existence, she admits, watching Lila grow without her father, watching Kaelen from afar and aching with the need to go to him, to ease his pain, to tell him the truth. But fear for their daughter's safety has kept her silent and hidden. In turn, Kaelen tells her about the years of grief, about the nights when he nearly went mad with loss, about his wolf's refusal to accept her death even when all evidence pointed to it. He tells her about Ashford's constant pressure to take a new mate, about the way the man has been slowly positioning his own son, about the subtle changes in pack dynamics that he only now, with Seraphine's revelations, can see as part of a larger pattern of manipulation. They make their plans carefully, cognizant that one wrong move could cost them everything. Kaelen will return to the fortress and act as if nothing has changed. He will continue to resist taking a new mate, will continue his solitary existence, but he will begin to quietly investigate Ashford's activities. He will look for evidence of the conspiracy, for proof that will stand up to scrutiny before the council and the pack. He will identify which of his people can be trusted and which have been compromised by Ashford's influence. Meanwhile, Seraphine will continue her work as a healer, maintaining her cover while gathering information from her position in the village. People talk to healers, she explains. They share their troubles and their secrets. She has already learned much about the undercurrents of power in Grendale simply by listening to her patients. Together, working from both sides, they will build an unassailable case against Ashford. It will take time, weeks, perhaps months, but they have already survived 5 years of separation. They can endure a bit longer if it means ensuring their safety and their future together. When Kaelen finally forces himself to leave as the night grows deep and the moon rises overhead, the parting is agony. He holds Seraphine in his arms, feeling the way their bodies fit together as perfectly as they always did, feeling the bond between them singing with joy at their reunion. He kisses her forehead, her cheeks, her lips, a kiss that tastes of salt tears and promises and love that has survived the grave itself. "I will come back," he tells her, "as often as I can manage without arousing suspicion. I will not be parted from you again, not truly. And when this is over, when Ashford is paid for his crimes, I will stand before the entire pack and reclaim you as my mate and Luna. I will introduce Lila as my daughter and heir. And we will begin our lives again, together." "I know," Seraphine whispers against his chest. "I feel it in the bond, in the way my mark burns with certainty. We will have our happy ending, Kaelen. We will have justice, and we will have each other. Just a little longer. Just hold on a little longer." The weeks that follow are among the most difficult of Kaelen's long life. He returns to the fortress and his duties, maintaining the facade of the grieving, solitary Alpha, while his heart pounds with the secret knowledge of Seraphine's survival. Every council meeting where Ashford speaks feels like torture, knowing what the man has done, knowing the depths of his treachery, yet having to nod and consider his counsel as if he were still a trusted advisor. But Kaelen is patient. He has learned patience through years of loss, and now he applies it to the hunt for justice. He begins to investigate quietly, using his most loyal warriors as eyes and ears. He reviews old records from the night of the fire, looking for inconsistencies in the reports. He tracks down the young wolf, Marcus, who helped Seraphine escape, and learns from him the names of others who were involved in Ashford's plot, but who might be convinced to turn against their master in exchange for leniency. Seraphine, for her part, continues her work in the village, but now she does so with purpose beyond mere survival. She listens more carefully to the gossip her patients bring, pays attention to the patterns of power and influence. She learns which merchants have been benefiting from favorable treatment by Ashford's faction on the council, which families have been pressured or threatened into silence, which young wolves have been recruited into Ashford's network with promises of advancement. They meet in secret when they can, stolen moments in the deep forest where no one will see, where they can hold each other and share information and simply exist together, without the weight of conspiracy and caution. Lila sometimes accompanies her mother on these excursions, and Kaelen treasures every moment with his daughter, watching her laugh and play, teaching her small things about pack history and wolf lore, building a relationship that should have started 5 years ago, but is no less precious for its delayed beginning. And gradually, piece by piece, they assemble the evidence they need. Financial records showing Ashford's embezzlement of pack funds to support his power base. Testimony from wolves who were pressured into participating in the fire or its cover-up. The location of the safe house where Ashford has been storing documents related to his long-term plan to take control of the pack. Even physical evidence from the night of the fire itself, accelerants that were used, tools that were employed, all of it carefully hidden but not hidden well enough to escape a determined investigation. 3 months after that fateful night at the harvest fair, Kaelen calls a full pack assembly. It is a rare event, one that brings together not just the council but every adult wolf in Grendale, filling the great hall of the fortress to capacity. They come curious and concerned, wondering what could be so important that their alpha would break his usual pattern of isolation and seclusion. Lord Ashford is there, of course, standing at Kaelin's right hand as is his customary place. He looks calm and composed, confident in his position of power and influence. He has no idea that the trap is about to spring closed around him, that the careful conspiracy of years is about to come crashing down. Kaelen stands before his pack, and for the first time in 5 years, he feels the full weight of his authorities settling around him like a mantle. He is no longer the broken, grieving alpha that Ashford created. He is whole again, strengthened by love and purpose, ready to reclaim everything that was stolen from him. "My pack," he begins, his voice carrying to every corner of the hall. "I have called you here today to reveal a grave injustice that has been perpetrated against us all. 5 years ago, we mourned the loss of our Luna, Seraphine Blackwood. We believe her dead, killed in a terrible fire that appeared to be a tragic accident. I have spent these years in grief, believing myself widowed, believing that I would never again know the joy and completeness of my mate's presence." He pauses, letting the words sink in, seeing the confusion and curiosity on the faces turned toward him. "But I was wrong. Seraphine did not die in that fire. She survived, and she has been living among us, hidden in plain sight, forced into secrecy by those who orchestrated her attempted murder." A gasp ripples through the assembly. Heads turn, wolves looking at each other in shock and disbelief. Ashford's face has gone pale, his confidence cracking to reveal the fear beneath. He knows. In this moment, he knows that his conspiracy has been discovered. "Seraphine was betrayed by someone we trusted," Kaelen continues, his voice growing harder, colder. "Someone who wanted power enough to destroy the sacred bond between Alpha and Luna. Someone who was willing to commit the gravest of pack crimes in pursuit of his own ambition. And that someone stands in this room tonight." The doors at the back of the hall open, and Seraphine enters, flanked by Kaelen's most trusted warriors. She has let her hair down, and she wears the silver and blue of the Luna, colors she has not worn in 5 years. The mark on her throat is visible for all to see, and there is no mistaking the way it mirrors Kaelen's own. Beside her, holding her hand with the solemn pride of a child who understands the importance of the moment, is Lila. The pack erupts in chaos. Wolves surge to their feet, some shouting in joy at their Luna's return, others crying out in confusion and disbelief. But all of them can see the truth written in the matching marks, in the bond that is visible in the way Kaelen and Seraphine look at each other, in the existence of the child who bears the features of both her parents. Ashford tries to run. He actually turns and tries to flee, but he makes it only 3 steps before Kaelen's warriors are on him, forcing him to his knees before the assembled pack. His face is a mask of rage and terror as he struggles against their grip, but it is futile. He is lost, and he knows it. "Lord Ashford," Kaelen says, his voice ringing with authority and barely restrained fury. "You stand accused of conspiracy to murder the Luna, of orchestrating the fire that was meant to kill her, of orchestrating a cover-up that deceived the entire pack, and of embezzlement and abuse of your position for personal gain. How do you answer these charges?" For a moment, Ashford tries to deny it, tries to claim innocence and frame it all as a misunderstanding. But Kaelen is prepared for this. One by one, he presents the evidence. The testimony of wolves who participated in the plot and have now turned on their master. The financial records showing the embezzlement. The physical evidence from the fire. The testimony of Seraphine herself, describing in chilling detail how she overheard Ashford's plans. With each piece of evidence, Ashford's denials grow weaker. His co-conspirators, seeing that the game is up, begin to confess in hopes of receiving mercy. The web of corruption and betrayal that Ashford has woven over the years is laid bare for all to see, and the pack's outrage grows with each revelation. The verdict is unanimous. Ashford is found guilty on all charges. Under pack law, the punishment for attempting to harm an alpha's mate is death, but not a quick or merciful death. He is to be exiled to the deep wilderness, stripped of his wolf form through ancient ritual magic that will leave him weak and vulnerable and left to survive, or not, on his own. It is a fate worse than execution, and the pack approves it with a roar that shakes the very foundations of the fortress. As Ashford is dragged away, still trying to protest his innocence to anyone who will listen, Kaelen turns to his pack and extends his hand to Seraphine. She takes it, and together they stand before the assembled wolves, reunited at last, their bond stronger for having survived such trials. "My pack," Kaelen says, his voice thick with emotion now that the confrontation is over. "I present to you your Luna, Seraphine Blackwood, returned to us. And I present to you my daughter and heir, Lila Blackwood, born of our bond and raised in secret, but now ready to take her place among us." The pack erupts in celebration. Wolves howl their joy and approval, the sound echoing across Grendale and beyond, announcing to the world that the Midnight Wolf Pack is whole again, that their Alpha and Lunas stand united, that justice has been served and the future is bright. In the days and weeks that follow, there is much work to be done. Ashford's network must be dismantled, his co-conspirators dealt with according to their level of involvement and their willingness to make amends. The pack's trust must be rebuilt, and Seraphine must transition from the simple healer Serena back to her role as Luna, a role she embraces with grace and wisdom, tempered by the years of hardship she has endured. Lila delights in her new life, exploring the fortress that is now her home, beginning her training as the Alpha's heir, surrounded by warriors who adore her and pack members who see in her the promise of continuity and strength. She shifts for the first time on her 6th birthday, her wolf form small and silver-gray, and Kaelen weeps with pride as he watches her take her first tentative steps on 4 legs. For Kaelen himself, the healing is gradual but profound. The weight that is pressed on his shoulders for 5 years begins to lift. The darkness that clouded his days starts to recede, replaced by light and laughter and love. He and Seraphine work together to strengthen the pack, implementing new safeguards to prevent the kind of corruption that Ashford represented, building alliances with other packs based on honesty and mutual respect. But perhaps the most important healing happens in the quiet moments, in the nights when he holds Seraphine in their bed, feeling the steady beat of her heart and knowing she is real and safe. In the mornings when he wakes to the sound of Lila's laughter as she plays in the gardens below. In the evenings when they sit together as a family, sharing meals and stories, and the simple, profound joy of being together. The bond mark on Kaelen's chest no longer aches with loss. Instead, it pulses with warmth and life, a constant reminder of the connection he shares with Seraphine. Sometimes he catches himself touching it absently, remembering the dark years when he thought it was nothing more than a scar of something dead and gone. Now he knows better. The bond was never broken. It was only tested, stretched across years and distance and deception, but it held. It endured. Love. He reflects one evening as he stands on his balcony with Seraphine at his side and Lila sleeping safely in her room, is stronger than death. It is stronger than betrayal. It is stronger than any force that seeks to tear it apart. And true bonds, once forged in the sacred fires of destiny and choice, cannot be severed by anything in this world or the next. For you to have come thus far, this story interests you, please don't forget to like, share, and comment your thoughts in the comment section and subscribe to this channel. As the seasons turn and change, as winter gives way to spring and spring to summer, the Midnight Wolf Pack flourishes under the joint leadership of Kaelen and Seraphine. They become known throughout the land as a beacon of justice and strength, a pack that survived internal betrayal and emerged stronger for it. Other Alphas come to seek Kaelen's counsel, and other Lunas seek Seraphine's wisdom, learning from their example how to build something that can withstand the worst that fate can throw at it. And through it all, the child who started it all with her innocent observation continues to grow. Lila becomes known for her wisdom beyond her years, her compassionate heart, and her fierce loyalty to her family and pack. She inherits her father's strength and her mother's healing gift, combining them into something new and powerful. Those who watch her train and learn speak of the great Alpha she will one day become, when the mantle of leadership passes from Kaelen to the next generation. But that day is far in the future. For now, there is time. Time to heal, time to grow, time to love. time to be the family they were always meant to be, brought together by fate, separated by treachery, and reunited by the innocent words of a child who saw what others missed. That love leaves marks that cannot be hidden, that bonds endure beyond reason or expectation, and that sometimes the greatest revelations come from the smallest, most unexpected sources. In the ancient, mist-covered village of Grendale, where the fog still rolls down from the mountains and the fortress still stands as a symbol of strength and protection, the story of Alpha Kaelen Blackwood and his Luna Seraphine becomes legend. It is told around fires on cold nights, whispered between young mates as a promise of enduring love, and taught to pups as a lesson about the price of betrayal and the power of truth. But for those who lived it, for the family at the heart of the tale, it is simply their life, extraordinary in its trials, but ordinary in its joys. They wake each day grateful for each other, mindful of how close they came to permanent separation, determined never to take for granted the gift of being together. And if sometimes Kaelen finds himself remembering that moment in the village square when a small hand tugged at his cloak and changed everything, he smiles. If sometimes Seraphine touches her mark and whispers thanks to whatever divine force moved Lila to speak up that day, she does so with reverence. And if sometimes Lila asks to hear the story of how she brought her parents back together, they tell it with love and laughter, adding new details with each retelling until the child falls asleep between them, safe and cherished and whole. For in the end, that is what matters. Not the darkness they endured, but the light they found. Not the betrayal that separated them, but the love that brought them back together. Not the years they lost, but the lifetime they still have ahead of them. A lifetime of mornings and evenings, of challenges faced and overcome, of a bond that death itself could not sever and that time itself will never diminish. This is their story. This is their truth. This is their triumph over despair, their victory over those who would destroy them, their testament to the enduring power of a love written in the stars and marked upon their very skin. And it will be told and retold for as long as wolves run beneath the moon, for as long as mates seek each other across impossible distances, for as long as children ask innocent questions that reveal profound truths. The Alpha's lost mate, revealed by a child's innocence, found against all odds, reclaimed against all opposition, and loved, now and always, with the fierce devotion of a bond that transcends mortality itself.